Welcome to the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening to me today on this beautiful Tuesday. We are live in Las Vegas. IGTV, IG Live is where you can catch me. Also on Facebook and Twitter, on my social media networks, YouTube channel, StreamYard Network, and also on the Podbean Podcast Network just by searching Snake Sports Talk Show. Man, what a busy week it has been. And it's only just getting started. There's a lot that's going on. There's a lot about the Tom Brady situation. There's a lot about the coronavirus. Everything's just kind of leaking out. It's just getting crazier and crazier from there. But I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. So let me start off by saying this. Right now, a lot of things are spiraling about Tom Brady and where his fit is going to be. Because this is now until next week that the free agent market begins to open up. They've been talking about the franchise tag, and they are going to withhold that until Monday. It was supposed to be Thursday, but now they're pushing it to Monday. With the new CBAs and everything that's been happening now in the NFL, it's going to be tough now for some teams to now start to negotiate, get the best contracts, and even get the best deals on franchise tags. But besides the point, I mentioned in my podcast show about Tom Brady and some of the lists of possible destinations for him. Tom Brady is looking for a $30 million a year type of contract. We know that for sure. Yesterday, there was a leak of 4 contracts that looked to be guarantees for a guy like Tom Brady. You have to wonder, each of the 4 teams in the NFL, which ones are the ones that make the most sense for Tom in his situation? Because Tom is going to go somewhere where he knows he doesn't have to be fully reliant, but at the same time, he's going to go to somewhere where he trusts the coach, the offensive line, the general managing, and the ownership. And of course, he's got weapons around him. And Tom Brady, he's also a big-time brand guy. TB12 and his stocks, that's where he's got to look at financials and look at the best comfortable places. So, in this particular outcome, there were so many contracts that were given. 4 of them. New England, the Chargers, now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I've seen now become legitimate of entering in the Tom Brady sweepstakes, and now Tennessee. So there are 4 contracts here, each of them with their guaranteed averages. New England is offering Tom Brady 5 years, $125 million a year in that contract, with $25 million guarantee out the door. The problem of it is New England has no backup plan. They have no other targets to look for, either in free agency or even in the draft. New England has had tendencies where they struggled in the draft, they struggled in free agency, haven't fixed their problems as far as tight ends, wide receivers, and even for offensive linemen. So to me, New England, with that kind of guaranteed money, not trustworthy. Then you've got the Chargers. 2 years, $64 million with a $32 million a year guarantee. I've spoke about this, and I've already put in a post about Tom Brady going to the Chargers. My big thing is you have Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and they're fixing the offensive lines. And I know everybody has questions and concerns about Anthony Lynn. I get it. We don't know what type of coach Anthony Lynn is. And after a struggling season, can he bounce back? Can he rebound? Question is left to be said. But in Los Angeles, in a marketing where you can look around the corner, how many gymnasiums are around and how much many people are willing to spend on a product like TB12. Los Angeles is the perfect market for him. But if you look at it, he's got plenty of weapons. He's got great personnel. I feel like the Chargers would be an ideal fit. Now, the other team that's really reached out that I thought was interesting was Tampa Bay. They're offering 3 years, $102 million with $34 million guaranteed. Tampa Bay, this is very interesting to me. They have not yet franchise tagged Jameis Winston, and we're not sure if they're going to be giving him a new contract or they're going to move away from him. But think about this. Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay in a non-tax state of Florida. He's got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, OJ Howard. They got a tight end there. And what's to say Tampa Bay doesn't go out and sign Melvin Gordon and fix an offensive line? And, oh, by the way, your head coach is also someone who worked with veteran quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and Carson Palmer. What's to say Bruce Arians isn't sold on this idea? I mean, Tampa Bay could easily turn around and say, we've got weapons. We're going to sign Melvin Gordon, and our offensive line is getting better. What's to say you can't join us? And we've got a reliable coach. I mean, outside of most of the coaches like Frank Reich and many others, Bruce Arians is a very good quarterback coach. I know a lot of people talk to me about the Raiders and John Gruden, but I just do not see them moving off of Derek Carr. Not that easily. Not that easily. And finally, Tennessee. 4 years, 112 with $28 million guaranteed. Tennessee, we know, has had a magical season with the defenses being strong. We've seen exactly how they rode until they got to the AFC Championship game, beating New England and beating Baltimore. And Tennessee's got some interesting weapons. A.J. Brown, they bring back Derrick Henry. The offensive line is already strong enough that it's capable of building a pocket for a guy like Tom Brady. And Tennessee, to me, there still are some pieces that need to be filled, but I just think that would be interesting. But again, you have to think of the quarterback situation between Tom and Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill came in at a time Marcus Mariota was not at his all-time best. He's been dealing with injury problems, and it just has not worked out for Tennessee. They're going to move away from him. So if Tennessee was to get Tom Brady, I think it would be interesting. I think they're going to look for at least another wide receiver just to be safe. But, I mean, the possibilities are all there. But these contracts are very, very interesting. But if you had to ask me which ones are the ones that I think are best, would be the Chargers. Possibly I'm leaning a little bit on Tampa Bay, but I'm not sure how they're going to shape themselves. And again, I said it on my previous podcast, do not count out the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, a lot is on the table. You saw exactly what happened with Peyton Manning. When Peyton, before he went to Denver, you know, he had a lot of different contracts. Miami called. Tennessee also wanted him. There were so many teams. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to hurt Tom Brady's career. It's going to hurt his legacy. What are you talking about? Tom Brady is a guy who's spent 20 years in the NFL, and all he's asking for is 2 years. Do he play till he's 45? And he's already got 6 Super Bowls on his belt. Ask yourself, with all these guaranteed contracts, do you really think it's going to hurt Tom Brady's legacy and his career? Would you say the same thing about Joe Montana? 4 Super Bowls in San Francisco. And, you know, they had a young kid, Steve Young, come in, and he goes to Kansas City. That didn't hurt his reputation. Certainly didn't hurt his legacy. Or how about Peyton, in the sense, leaves Indianapolis to go and join Denver. He already had 2 Super Bowls on his belt with Indianapolis, going there and winning 1 of them. And then goes to Denver, goes to 2 more Super Bowls, wins 1 there. Or how about Brett Favre? Wins a Super Bowl at Green Bay, longtime Green Bay Packer coach or quarterback. And he goes, and a lot of people were confused about it because he was either going to retire or he was going to keep playing. Then he goes to the Jets. Then he goes to the Vikings. I don't think that did anything with his career. He's still known as one of the best Green Bay Packers quarterbacks, still beloved by the fans. And this isn't going to ruin Tom Brady's legacy. I can guarantee you this. Wherever he goes, he has I mean, he deserves it. He deserves every moment of this. So what's to say Tom leaves and he goes somewhere and changes the culture in that organization? It's incredible to me. Let me shift to this. So I'm just going to cross my arms. So Kenny Atkinson gets fired in Brooklyn, and the Brooklyn Nets are sitting in 7th in the East. They're without Kyrie. They're without Kevin Durant. And people are now kind of asking themselves, who's going to be the next coach of the Brooklyn Nets? I knew something like this was going to happen. You bring in Kyrie, who a lot of, as I know, not emotionally stable and can't face the fact that he's one of the best number 2s in the league. And what's wrong with that? This is also a season that I feel fans got very much way too invested in this season. Because they're like, we got Kyrie. We're going to have Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant hasn't even played yet. And a lot of this is all leaking out. Saying that the Brooklyn Nets, we have no idea what's going to happen with them now with Kenny Atkinson. And by the way, Kenny Atkinson is one of the most respected NBA coaches in the league, which kind of finds it interesting. Because from what I've heard in rumor sources, that the locker room now became unstable after last year, because last year they didn't have any of these problems. They didn't. You had D'Angelo Russell, you had Karis LeVert, and there were lots of good young players. This team was developing. But by the second Kyrie Irving comes into town, now the locker room has changed. And it ain't Kenny Atkinson. It's just the fact of the matter is Brooklyn, because of how big of a story it was from last year, having D'Angelo Russell, a lot of that has changed. Look at what's happening with Boston currently. Once Kyrie was there, it never allowed Brad Stevens to take control as a coach and develop his team into a championship caliber team. Now Kyrie's gone. Jason Tatum and then, of course, Jaylen Brown, they're having great seasons. Fantastic seasons. And the point of it is because Kyrie no longer in Boston. And it proved Kyrie was a little bit of the issue. The fact of the matter is, all of this is all coming out and it's all leaking out. I mean, this is now finally starting to make sense to people. Look, Brooklyn, I don't know how they're going to shape up next year. Once Kevin Durant is healthy and Kyrie is 110% healthy, hopefully this works. But if you asked me who would be the best candidates for the Brooklyn Nets coaching job, I mean, there are a bunch of names out there. There's Mark Jackson and even Tyronn Lue. But whoever the coach of the helm is, I hope Mark Jackson gets a job, because it's not like he did a terrible job at Golden State and shaping it to where it's now a championship caliber team just before Steve Kerr even came in. And Mark Jackson, smart coach. If he comes into the helm, I guarantee you he'll put his boot down and he'll have all of his players there on the court, understanding what the process is all about. And Brooklyn, I'm not saying they're a terrible team, but they need to figure this out. They need to figure this out. Because as I've said before, people ranted and raved and they got way too excited about Kyrie and this whole process. I didn't buy into it. I did not buy into it one bit. I just hope that whichever coach comes into the helm understands what he's getting involved in. But once Kevin Durant is healthy and Kyrie Irving comes back, you can only hope people get what they want out of Brooklyn. If they miss the playoffs from there, I will tell you this one more time. Kyrie just can't stable himself. Coming up, I'm going to be talking a lot more about the NBA. And of course, too, I will be explaining about the latest issues on the coronavirus as well. This has now become such a huge mark in sports. And by the way, I'm going to be up in Los Angeles next week, and I'll be doing my live feed show there. And hope you guys will tune in, get the experience out of it. It'll be my first ever NBA game, going to the Lakers against the Jazz. But this whole thing about the coronavirus, it's just become such a huge, wide phenomenon, and it's affecting a lot of sports. It's affecting hockey. It's affecting NBA. It's making its case everywhere. And people are starting to talk about Major League Baseball, NBA, and NHL playing without fans. The San Jose Sharks came out and said that they may end up playing without fans in their next couple of home games through the remainder of the season. This is scary, and this is shocking. And I can tell you this, I hope it doesn't happen when I'm in Los Angeles. Because if that's the case, what a hell of an experience that will be, right? But I'll have a lot more. Don't go anywhere. Snake Sports Talk Show will be right back.